Hare Krishna, everyone. Welcome to this week's edition of the Hare Krishna Project podcast. This is episode number 126. A big thank you to everyone who tunes in on a regular basis to hear from our guest, to hear what he or she has to say. I'm very grateful to our growing global audience. I appreciate you all tuning in every week to hear what our guest is up to. Do not forget, if you're watching this on YouTube, if you haven't already, to hit the subscribe button so you can be kept updated about future podcasts and video productions from the Hare Krishna Project. And or if you're watching this on Facebook, please do like or follow the Hare Krishna Project Facebook page so you can be kept updated with what we're doing at the Hare Krishna Project that way as well. As you know, we're just about holding on to that top spot as the #1 Hare Krishna podcast in the world, and that's nothing to do with me. It's largely down to you for tuning in, sharing the videos, sharing what we're doing, and sending feedback. I appreciate the feedback I receive on a regular basis, and I'm sorry that I can't respond to every email, but I do appreciate people that do get in touch. Okay, episode number 126. I'm absolutely delighted to welcome our guest this week. It's Nitai. Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Oh, Hare Krishna.
It's great to have you with us, Nitai. Now, you and I have known of each other for some time. It's probably about 4 or 5 years, I think. I remember interviewing you for my book. I think it was 4 years ago. And I remember us having a very positive conversation then, and I'm pleased that we've kept in touch thanks to social media over the years. And now we're going to find out a bit more about you. So the first question is the same question that every guest gets, just to warm us up a little bit, including me. I need to be warmed up sometimes. So please tell us a bit about you and where you are from.
Um, so my initiated spiritual name is Nitai Das. Um, Took birth in England, UK. Uh, um, yeah, England, UK. My family heritage is Afro-Caribbean. Uh, yeah, that's about it.
It's okay. It's an interesting first question because some devotees love to tell me everything about life before Krishna consciousness, and the others absolutely don't. It's like, no, that was it. It's like life before Krishna consciousness. But okay, and kind of just generally, which part of England are you kind of from? I mean,
Yorkshire.
Yorkshire.
Yeah.
Wow, wow. Well, I actually drove through Yorkshire last week, uh, um, and it looks beautiful. Yeah, great place to be. Great place to be. Okay, tell us a bit about your spiritual life in terms of how did you discover Krishna consciousness and kind of how did you meet the devotees?
Um, my spiritual life started at 19. So one of my friends got me into the chakra system, and that kind of inspired me to be like, okay, I want to look into spirituality. Um, well, yeah, because I was born in a Christian family, and then around 14 when I got into music, I kind of gave up faith in that. Like I just felt like I was suffering unnecessarily. Uh, so 19, I get into chakras. And I do this meditation, this Egyptian kind of, I got a book about Egyptian spirituality, and then it kind of unlocked past life stuff. And then I basically just opened up all of my chakras at once, and it just sent me into a mad psychosis. And that triggered um that triggered well, I started creating before. So I kind of started opening my mind, but that just sent me off on this insane psychosis. I sent my Kundalini nuts, and then I just became really Buddhist kind of thing. But it didn't feel it felt like I got to a place, the kind of Brahma Yoti thing, I got to that, and then it was okay, I come down from that and I was like, okay, my conception now is like, my conception then was, oh, I've seen the truth of the Brahman. Now I come back down, and it was like, oh well, I'm supposed to just enjoy here, and then eventually I'll get back to that, which is like everything. But it didn't feel right. It just felt incomplete. So then I got to London because I was pursuing a career, and then I met the devotees, and they just explained like they showed me the chart on like the planetary system. Prabhupada did the chart like from Mityaloka, like the demoniac planets up to the Brahma Yoti, and he was like, now you like my friend Jay was like, you got to here, but there's like still the whole of like there's like Vrindavan at the top. And I was like, oh, that kind of made me just feel like, yeah, this is a place like it just felt me made me feel like this is for me, like the personal kind of thing of um it just yeah,
Mm.
like needing the personal thing with Krishna and wanting to have more all the time and that was just like yeah, this is it for me. Like as soon as I saw them, I was like yeah, Tilak. I was like I need Tilak. I need beads, everything. Like let's just jump in. And then it's been going pretty quick since then, like very quick. Um, I met my spiritual master Pujapad Siddhanti Maharaj. He gave me Harinam, and then met Srila Rangaswami Maharaj. He gave me Diksha mantras. Um, and yeah, since then it's just been Krishna consciousness.
Wow. Wow. So you moved to London when you were 19 uh, to take up a career, to follow a career path.
Mhm.
And you were also interested in, I think, you kind of Buddhist and maybe Egyptian spirituality, I think you said.
Yeah, this Buddhism Kemetic thing,
Mm.
kind of, uh, yeah, thing.
But you saw the Hare Krishna devotees what on the street, did you, or you heard some kirtan? How did that kind of happen, that experience?
This one girl in ISKCON gave me a book in Brixton. I still don't know who that girl is, and I would love to know who she is actually. Um, I was getting I was coming into the station and she was just there on books. So she gave me two books. She gave me the happiness, no, chant and be happy.
Yeah.
And she gave me Secrets of the Vedas.
Wow. Wow.
And
Some great books.
if anyone can connect me somehow to that girl, I'd appreciate it a lot.
So you were 19, so I think you're 25 now, you told me.
26. Yeah.
26, 26. So 7 years ago in Brixton,
Yeah.
if anyone knows any young women doing book distribution in Brixton from ISKCON 7 years ago, please get in touch. Um, I think about when I first went to Bhaktivedanta Manor 20 years ago, and I think about some of the people I met I've not seen since. It's kind of like, where are they? I'd love to reconnect with them again. Some of them are still there, but others are like, are they still in the movement or have they moved? And yeah, there's people that have played a role in my spiritual life, and you kind of just wonder where they are or what they're up to. Um, so what was it particularly about the philosophy of Bhakti that really appealed to you? What drew you in?
The first thing was that it's really personal with you and your Ishtadev, yeah.
Mm,
And the thing that Krishna wants to be controlled by love. That was the thing that got me because Christianity it felt like a lot of fear. So it was like, yeah, that like breath of fresh air, just the complete opposite of Christianity, basically. A lot of I spoke with devotees, like a lot of devotees will have like trauma from the religion they're born into. And then I've seen with devotees they'll be born into bhakti and then they'll get like this trauma thing. So it's like it's like yeah, it's interesting.
mm. I I wasn't raised a Christian, but I joined a Christian church when I was about 16, and I had lots of positive experiences. Uh, so I don't want to knock it. I had a great time, and it was part of my kind of spiritual path. But I remember going to university and getting involved in the Christian Union, and it was quite an evangelical Christian Union, like Jesus is the only way. And I used to leave every meeting feeling depressed that I was a sinner and I'd let God down, and I was just thinking I thought this is meant to be positive. I meant to leave feeling great, but actually I just feel down all the time, that I'm such a sinner. um, so I agree with you on that one in terms of sometimes Christianity, and I guess the more kind of rule regulated religions. I mean, there are rules in Christian consciousness to some extent. I just you can feel a bit negative. So I agree with you on that one.
Yeah, there's, I mean, my mum was Muslim for a while.
Wow.
So it's, by the time I got to Bhakti, I felt like this is how I seen it. I was like, I've been through every religion. I've completed every, I was like, I've completed every religion. And this Bhakti thing is the only thing that is like, this is a final boss, and it's the only thing that's never ending, basically.
Mm.
So I was just like, well, there's no real question, kind of. Um,
What does your mum think about you being a Hare Krishna monk now? What's her thoughts on you joining the movement?
Actually, I don't fully know.
Okay.
Wants me to be a rap star, so I don't know.
Okay. Well, we can come on to that in a minute. But I'm intrigued by, often I ask people that question, what do your parents think? And you get a huge variety of answers. Um,
Yeah,
Definitely a huge variety of answers. Um,
thanks.
when I first joined, I think my mum was a bit freaked out by it.
Yeah, my mum definitely like is quite freaked out by it.
My mum didn't know what Hare Krishna was.
Yeah, because it seems quite like I was doing a video on the other day. It seems quite culty because it's so like it stands out so much. It's like you've got people with like bald head and tilak, and they're just like a real certain way. But in in Egypt, the pyramids, like when people were trying to understand God in ancient Egyptian times, it would have looked cultish then. Like the way people's hair was, like weird, like bowl cut hair, and then like face paint, and like they're all very specific, and they're like in pyramids trying to understand God and like being very specific. It would have looked cultish then. So
Mm.
my thing is like I feel like Bhakti is it's like Rupa Goswami's kind of cult, and it's like it's just running the whole matrix basically. Like you can't um yeah, it's running the whole matrix, but it's beyond then like some like Egypt was kind of it was spiritual knowledge, but it was limited, and it's like Rupa Goswami is the only one that can't be like you can't catch Rupa Goswami, he's running the whole thing. So it's like you can't catch Rupa Goswami, and he's fulfilling Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's Manabishtam, and through his devotees, it's like it's open. It's like a cultish kind of thing, but you're like in the streets and you're just doing your thing. And I think that's what's beautiful about it. Yeah.
Tell us a bit about you being a brahmachari. When I first met you 4 or 5 years ago, you were a brahmachari, and you're still a brahmachari now. Tell us
Mm.
a bit about uh, why you decided to uh, why you decided to enter the Bramacari ashram, and why, what keeps you in it.
Um, my experiences before Bhakti was just I think I had enough trauma family right wise to be like, yeah, to be like, yeah, I'm kind of done with that yeah, with that thing. Like I'm done with that. And it's like I'm grateful I went through that to be like, okay, it's not really for me. Um, and then what keeps me in it is like that doesn't keep me in it, but that kind of got me into it. It was like, actually, you know what, the thing that got me into it, like the thing that got me into it was like I went to Vrindavan and I saw the brahmacharis in Radhe Kunj, and there was like a lot of brahmacharis there in Saffron, like a lot, and it was just like they reminded me like who I was before everything I went through in the West, like before you get lost, you like lose your virginity, you start drinking, doing drugs, you start associating with people, you like then this person's your friend, that person's your friend. All of that, they just reminded me of that happiness. And that was like, yeah, that was like, okay, I want brahmachari cloth, like I just want to be in that thing, like the thing of the Brahmanda Brahmite Konyu Bhagavana Jeev, like just the happiness of being connected to the Brahman and being with your relationship. Like there's not really any like it's just like it's just peacefulness and just
Mm.
happiness. They all reminded me of that really. So that's why I took brahmacharya and
Mm.
yeah.
So do you feel that it's kind of an ashram or it's a lifestyle that kind of works for you? It kind of protects you, it gives you purpose, it sets you apart from the material world. Do you feel those things for you?
Well, I've not really lived as a brahmachari like how brahmacharis live, so I don't feel I can really answer that.
Mm.
I'm not I've spent like 6 weeks in a temple.
Mm.
I've not lived as because I have like mental health stuff going on, so I've not been able to stay as a brahmachari. So I have this like weird, isn't is a weird, I don't know, just like my own kind of brahmacharya specifically to me, probably by some arrangement like Krishna giving me some like very specific brahmacharya thing for me. Uh yeah,
Mm. Mm. Can we talk a bit about your talents, your music? Um,
sure.
I've been following you online for quite some time now. I think you're a talented musician, rapper, and you're currently using your talents to share Krishna consciousness with others through producing online videos, online films. What encourages and inspires you to do that?
To post or to do.
Well, both, I guess. I mean, what inspires you to produce these kind of, I guess, why do you rap, and what inspires you to share those films that you produce online?
Um, Rap kind of got me out of a dark place when, because I had my first thing was football talent, and then I had a knee injury, which meant I didn't make it as a footballer, and then I discovered my like rap kind of music talent. So then that kind of brought me out of that dark place. Um, it helps me to like transform like difficult, like intense pain, like really intense pain. It helps me to transform it. Um, and then hosting it is just like I wanted to help originally before Krishna Consciousness, like I wanted to help people overcome depression and all of that stuff.
Mm.
Um and then I think I kind of lost my way a bit, like it kind of became you gradually get sucked more into the industry and then it becomes like what's the word?
An addiction, maybe, or attachment.
Yeah, attachment, and you're in this like pool of artists like trying to
Mm.
get attention from my perspective. and it didn't, something in it didn't feel like complete or whole. Uh, so I kind of stopped posting, and I was going to ISKCON a lot, the temple there, and I kind of had a relationship. Like I was starting to get um build a relationship with these artists that I really like, called J.D. Hart. Um, but just the intensity of Bhakti and just going to the temple and going to ISKCON, and there's so many flowers and colors, and everyone's like singing, and it's like very 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 intense. Is like that just like pulled me through, and then I kind of like all my relationships kind of started to mess up, like within within music. Krishna kind of just moved everything. So then all my relationships just started to kind of mess up in music, and then it kind of like went. But I don't know if I'm perceiving that right from my so-called mental health. I don't know if I'm perceiving that right, or if it's like um I don't know. I think I have misconceptions on Krishna consciousness because of like contamination of philosophy and stuff. So I don't know if I'm like wasting a talent, and like, yeah.
You
But
mean you feel like you're wasting your talent as a rapper?
yeah, sometimes. But
Hmm. I mean, my I feel like a neophyte sometimes, like I'm the new guy, but my understanding of Krishna consciousness, based on the teachings of Prabhupada and other acharyas, is that Krishna consciousness isn't necessarily about giving things up. There are certainly things we shouldn't be doing, absolutely, but actually Krishna consciousness is about dovetailing our skills and our talents and our abilities to serve Krishna. So if you're good at rapping or singing, then rap and sing for Krishna. If somebody's good at painting, paint for Krishna. If someone's good at making money, make money for Krishna. Prabhupada said Srila Prabhupada said many times, just add Krishna to your life. Everything will just fall into place after that. And I've seen your films online, and I personally think you're very talented. You know, uh, I can't think of any other rappers in the Hare Krishna movement, certainly none that spring to mind. But because of the wonders of social media, you spring up on my social media often, and they're very good. And I think you've got a skill or a talent there that it's inspiring.
yeah, Krishna says um he says I'm the ability in man. So he's saying like I'm the ability in you. I don't know. There's something to it. Really, Srimati Radhika is the ability in man. Her energy is the ability. So
Hmm. Hmm.
I
Yeah.
don't know I don't know what the plan is, but
Well,
um
none of us do. None of us know what the plan is. Sometimes I wish I had a crystal ball to know what the future holds, and other times I wish I don't know. In one sense, Krishna consciousness should be about living for the here and now. Uh, it's about here and now and focusing on serving Guru and Garanga here and now. Making the most of the opportunity that we're in, whatever circumstances we find ourselves in. Um, you talked before I hit the record button. We had a bit of a catch up. We had our first kind of chat online about 4 years ago, and I think one of the things that inspired me then and still inspires me now about you is that you're a young man within the Bhakti community, within the Hare Krishna movement. And I remember meeting you online. We interviewed you for my book 4 years ago, feeling quite inspired by you then because you were a young Bramacari in the UK. Um, and I was thinking, well, I wonder how long he'll be a brahmachari for. Will he get married or this or that? And 4 years later, you're still living this lifestyle, and I find that very inspiring. And um, you talked at the beginning of this podcast about being from an Afro-Caribbean background, and not that I go around labeling people, but I can't think of any other brahmacharis, certainly in the UK.
yeah.
Mm. that are young men from an Afro-Caribbean background. You know, so tell us a bit about that from you. I guess what is my question? My question is, you're quite unique. We're all unique, but you're quite unique in that sense. Um, and how does it feel for you being someone from an Afro-Caribbean background in the Hare Krishna movement?
Um, honestly, it feels like just what I've been through in life before. So it doesn't feel like anything because I grew up in from young I went to all white schools, so I'm used to like just being the odd one out and just like figuring out my stuff from the beginning. So within the Hare Krishna movement, there's not a lot of like Afro-Caribbean black body devotees, but it just feels like what I've been through since the beginning. Um, so it's not much different. It's very the Caribbean thing is like very specific because it's like I was speaking to one of my godbrothers, like there's a madness that comes with it because you're like I did a DNA test and I have like 60% of my DNA is like African and then like a small quarter of it is like a small percentage is like England, UK, which is why I like incarnated here, like UK Welsh kind of thing.
Mm,
And
mm,
then there's like European, and then there's like 1% South Indian. So I think I don't know when I have so-called episodes, it's like that that 1% of me that's connected to Sanatan Dharma is just that part is like, yeah, you're like, say if I have ancestors there, they're just like, yeah, now you're with us. And then I have this African ancestors like, now you're here. And then
mm,
I have like some from Egypt within that ancestry of African, which is like, now you're here. And then I have the English one that's like, now you're here type thing. So then it's like a certain madness, I don't know. But
mm.
that's the beauty that's the beauty of Krishna, his madness. Like he's transcendental unmad. And that's the beauty of Shrimati Radhika, her transcendental unmad. There's a sloka saying like Raghunath Das Goswami saying when my Shrimati Radhika, when she's in transcendental unmad, if she goes to Dwarka, I'll fly there faster than Garuda to serve her. Um,
Just no, you said something that I found quite interesting. We talked about what is it like um, being a black-bodied Hare Krishna jargon, black-bodied man in the Hare Krishna movement. And you said it's kind of, I think you said it's nothing different from before. It's what you're
yeah.
used to. What do you mean by that in terms of have you, you don't have to tell me this, have you experienced racism and prejudice in the Hare Krishna movement?
I think if I have it's like very subtle, like it's definitely there in an undertone, but because I'm used to it, it's just the same thing. But devotees are the thing is devotees are they're all in certain samadhis, so like they're all in different types and levels of samadhis. So like someone could be looking at me and it's like they look like they're um not used to like a black guy, but it's like they're seeing something to do with Krishna and his pastime, like you know, it's you know, they could be Utam looking at you and be like, you know, like the pastime where it's like no blacks in the kunj with Krishna. Um, when Krishna wants to come into the kunj, it's like no blacks allowed in the kunj. And then there's one with Vrinda Devi where she's like, I don't know this black person. It's like it's all
Mm.
connected up. So yeah, I don't know.
I had a conversation with a devotee in South Africa. Must have been a year ago, maybe the year before. Time goes so quick, and he's a well, I think he's a young man. He's younger than me anyway. A young black-bodied man in the Hare Krishna movement in South Africa, and we were talking about racism he'd experienced. And if I'm honest, very naively, I thought, well, what racism? You know, you're a um, you're a black man, black-bodied in South Africa, which is a largely black populated country, and I was kind of intrigued. What racism are you talking about? And he says, oh, well, the racism I've experienced in ISKCON. And I again questioning, what do you mean by this? He said, well, it's all the Indians. They treat us very badly. And I was really surprised by this, that the and if people no, I will carry on with the story. The Indian leaders, this is his experience, this is what he's told me, the Indian leaders of ISKCON in South Africa didn't treat the black members of the congregation very well. And he said sometimes it wasn't obvious they were doing it, or they weren't doing it openly. Sometimes it was more subtle. What's that expression? Prince Harry said it once. What was it? Not racism. It's another expression. Can't think what it is. Something
microaggression or something.
Yeah. Preconceived prejudice? No, there's another expression. I can't think. And it was about, you don't realize you're being racist. It's subconscious. But actually, and I had a fascinating conversation with him because I learned a lot. And I have to be, I have to be honest, it wasn't really until 3 years ago, I really thought about racism, because I'm from, as you can see, a white background. I come from a largely white populated village in Somerset. And I, as a white man, and I'm probably in the least discriminated group in the world. Okay.
Yeah.
And I remember saying to someone, oh, well, I don't think there's much racism around here, naively. And then they pointed out, well, Nathan, Narada, you're a white man. Of course you're not going to experience racism. And I felt so bad. I felt so bad that I wasn't seeing things from other people's point of view. And this conversation with this South African devotee really opened up my mind to seeing things from other people's point of view. I waffled a bit then. Sorry, I waffled.
No. It's like so there's a cartoon here called Naruto, and there's a type of people called the Uchiha clan. And when their eyes open, they activate like a Sharingan, and it's usually something they don't want to see, like their best friend getting killed in front of them or something like that. And it activates this chakra, gets emitted into their brain, and it activates like a special vision. It's like before Bhakti, when my Kundalini was going nuts, I saw the whole, it's just like I saw the whole matrix, and I just saw I saw my race of people, and it's like it was the lowest consciousness on the planet. And it's like that's just me being truthful. Like I could just see that. I was like, okay, cool. So I think Hindu faith is the highest thing on the planet. So I think a lot of them, they're actually tolerating a lot, like, because their consciousness is quite high, so they're tolerating a lot from people in the, like the African kind of. And then it's like there's different races. So there's like a race is like when you play Madunga, it's like a certain race, and then when you're this is stuff I'm going through. Like I'm not like calling anyone out specifically, but it's like stuff I go through. It's like a lot of them are doing their thing, but it's like Sanatan Dharma is like a level of detachment. But then it's like it's all like Krishna's test. It's like how are you going to be compassionate to this specific devotee at this time, or are you just going to do your thing? So it kind of depends where you are, like. But like I said, it's just stuff I've been through, so it's like I just kind of do my own thing. And, yeah.
You and we don't have to talk about this if you don't want to, but you've mentioned a bit during this podcast about mental health difficulties that you've been through. And certainly before this podcast, I wasn't aware of that because I don't know everything about your life because it's none of my business. And certainly the questions that I sent you before weren't anything to do with mental health. So I hadn't kind of prepared for that in the conversation. But you've kind of alluded to the fact that it's something you've struggled with, your mental health. Do you want to say anything about that in any way, in any kind of context?
Um, uh, nah, I
That's okay.
yeah,
That's okay. That's okay. Um, let's talk a bit about
like it is what I don't know. It is what it is. I'm getting like therapy to get it hopefully sorted. Um, they say it's karma. I don't know. It just is what it is. Krishna's very tricky. He puts the devotees in certain castes and gives them certain stuff, and he arranges for them to meet other devotees. He's very tricky, so you don't really know what he's doing.
mm, well, in one sense, you're absolutely correct. Everything that we're experiencing is our karma. That's what we're called. That's what we're taught. Sorry, according to Sastra, but it still doesn't make it sound any better. Oh, that's your karma, so you're going to go through it. Well, it still doesn't make me feel any better.
I've been through this as well, where it's like you can see I've seen devotees suffer, and it's like, oh, it's their karma, so we just like leave them to suffer.
Mm,
I don't really. Sometimes that's not good. Like it doesn't really help. And then I've been with devotees where it's like, nah, let's not just see them suffer. Let's like actually try and help them. I don't know if it's different natures or levels or whatever. Um,
yeah, yeah. But as a preference, I'd rather go for the latter, the second one. Like, yeah, everything we're going through is our karma, but we should still be compassionate towards each other and caring and kind if people want us to be compassionate towards them. I mean, someone who's sick and ill, we should
yeah,
still.
it's a test because, but then with mental health, you can be like, some people, sometimes I've tried to help devotees with mental health and like find myself in a worse place, but then there can be mercy there. So it's like, how much do you like intervene to try and help them, and how much do you just like let them go through it?
Mm,
But Krishna has seen everything, so he's arranging greatly.
yeah. And that can be difficult for us to kind of stomach sometimes, can't it? Or to digest or take in. Because, I think some of the stuff I've gone through in my life, and I think, Krishna, why have you allowed this? This is like not acceptable. And it's very painful and it's very frustrating as well. Um, yeah. Um, but the material world is difficult. Kali Yuga is difficult, and I think I mean, I certainly read somewhere, and I've heard it many times over the years, that we go through all these difficulties. Krishna gives us all these tests and these challenges, so we run more towards him. So we go more towards him. We can see how difficult life is in the material world, which makes us like it even less, and therefore we go to Krishna to you know be more attracted to him.
Yeah, prem is poison and nectar at the same time. So this like separation and meeting it increases the like what's this sloka saying that prem is described like it has every reason to break and it increases. So yeah, it Krishna can give he gives a lot.
Mm,
Really Radharani's doing everything, but
mm,
like like in the material world where the guys with the girl is like it feels like he's doing everything really. It's like the girlfriend or whatever doing everything. Like Radharani's doing everything.
mm,
Like
mm,
she's doing all the work.
mm. Can we talk a bit about you mentioned some names earlier on. You mentioned the name of the uh, sannyasi who gave you Harinam, and also the sannyasi gave you Diksha. Um, can we talk a bit about them in the context of following Srila Narayan Maharaj?
Yeah.
Because that's kind of the mat you are affiliated with. It's interesting because you received your first book through a woman from ISKCON, which is fab. And then you found your home, I
Saved my
guess.
soul, bro. She saved my soul.
She saved your soul. We must
Yeah,
track her down. If she's listening, please get in touch. If you remember Nitai in Brixton 7 years ago, please send us a message and I'll link you both together.
yeah. I'll be surprised if that could get pulled off. But yeah.
Imagine if your train was a minute late or a minute early or something.
No, she was by the station, like,
Ah, by the station.
yeah, she was by the station.
It's funny
And
how
like,
Krishna arranges these
when,
things, isn't it?
when you first meet devotees, like when I looked at her, she was just like, when you look at devotees and they're just in Vishnu mode and like observing, and they're just looking at you, and it's just like bliss. It's like, why are you not like? I don't know. Devotees are very pure. Like they're so powerful. It's very interesting because it's like Krishna is a supreme personality, but actually his devotees are like
Mm,
they can be more interested in their personalities.
mm,
Like, yeah.
mm, mm. So, uh, can we maybe just talk a little bit about Sri Narayan Maharaj?
Mm.
Kind of, he's certainly he still has a huge following in the Western world, and I know many disciples of Narayan Maharaj, who are close friends of mine, good friends of mine. Can you tell us a bit about that kind of spiritual family, and what has encouraged you to be involved and stay involved with them?
I actually don't know that. Like, I actually don't know. It's just family in it. Like, something pulls me back to them. Like every time.
Mm, mm, mm. That's good. That's good. I'm just struggling with my lighting here. That's why I'm doing this. The sun's shining through my window. So, yeah, that's really encouraging. I meet so many devotees from different backgrounds, and I'm always keen to kind of find out more about the kind of not spiritual home, but what association they have and what kind of mats they're involved with.
It's
So,
special. It's a special family. Like, I'm gonna just be honest. It's a special family because it's like what Srila Narayan Maharaj came to preach and what he opened up. Um, what he opened up is like it's very intimate.
mm,
Like I can only imagine in the spiritual world like what kind of family it is. Like it's
mm, mm, mm,
very intimate, very like people say like sahaja and like um proud and like trying to be like maja, like terms and all this. It's like yeah,
mm, mm.
if you
Great. Yeah. Great. Great. Thank you. Okay, can we just talk about one kind of final thing? It's a question I often ask uh, devotees in the UK, devotees in the Western world, particularly younger devotees. You and I I'm still young. I think I'm still young. How can we attract? So you and I are attracted to this lifestyle. We've been involved with it for a number of years. We've decided to give up the pains of the material world and follow this path of Bhakti Yoga, Krishna consciousness. What are your thoughts and your feelings on how can we attract more people, Western people, young people, to the Hare Krishna movement?
I think the technology side, like we need to get that down. Like everything just needs to be 4K and above. Everything needs to be like, and I think devotees need to be less scared to be unique and like still to be under the shelter of their guru, but like not scared to be unique and use their personality to preach. Um, and yeah, that I feel that really needs to happen. And just be honest, like not be scared of this word like aparad, like oh if I do this is aparad, or if I feel like this is aparad, just be like just give yourself and just trust that they're like your spiritual master, Radha Krishna, like they'll catch us and they're not like looking for us making offenses. Um, and yeah, just and not be scared to be connected to the culture, like what's happening now materially. Um,
Hmm.
yeah,
I like what you just said. Be less scared to be unique.
yeah,
I really like that. That's kind of another way of saying. think outside of the box. You know, and I often fear, I feel sorry that there is this fear that devotees have to try new things. There's this, oh, we've always done it this way, so we're always going to do it
Yeah,
this
because
way.
I mean, if you look at Prabhupada's time, like what Prabhupada preached in what was it, the 90s or something? Like when did
Uh,
Prabhupada
60s and 70s.
so the Beatles time, it was like the drug at the time was like acid and psychedelics. Like Bhaktisiddhanta preached at a time when it was like around the Hitler time. So it's like big impersonalism. It's like there's different generations. So it's like the Vedas, Sanatana Dharma, it's like progressive. So it's like now what's going on, it's like there's a lot of like gender euphoria and kind of like there's like the pride movement and all of this stuff. It's like you've got to like move with the times kind of
Mm,
thing.
mm,
Move with the times, but also be connected to the eternal present. But there can't be fear of like I don't know, you can't preach how Prabhupada preached in 2024, like the Beatles are still here and like everyone's on acid. Like no one's doing that right now. Like now it's like it's a TikTok generation. Like people's attention span is like 2, 3 seconds. Like
mm,
it just needs to be like move with the times.
Yeah, I actually agree with everything you've just said. I mean, the expression is time, place, circumstance.
Yeah, and
So
that's one of Krishna's transcendental qualities, time, place, circumstance.
yeah, and we can look at Gaudiya Vaishnavism or Vaishnavism more widely, and okay, who's preaching at a certain time and how are they presenting it? So the message is always the same, but it changes according to culture and country and time and era. And yeah, I completely agree with you. And that other thing you said was really interesting about not being afraid of. A lot of people think we're crazy saying this, but we're not being afraid of causing Vaishnav aparad. And
Yeah,
I actually agree with you, even though we'll probably get a lot of criticism for saying that. Oh, you should never offend anybody. Um,
yeah. Devotees are if you're Vaishnav, you're in the world of Vishnu. It's like what offenses are is like Vishnu's protecting everyone from that, like with his qualities. So devotees, it can seem like they're arguing and they're not getting along, but it's like maybe in the spiritual world they fell out. Maybe you dropped their flowers in the spiritual world, or like you saw something and you're arranging. It's like this because that fear makes devotees like very it can make you rigid.
hmm,
And then if you feel rigid, you don't want to, I don't know, it's restricting, in it? Like, imagine you're doing your back to you're dancing, and then someone says aparad, and everyone just goes, you be like, well, why did you stop type thing?
hmm,
Really, there's only affection. There's aparada means without affection, parada, there's only affection for Shrimati Radhika.
hmm. That's a
Uh,
very interesting way of looking at it. I know one devotee in the UK, I won't say his name, but he runs a very successful project, Hare Krishna project, not this one, but Hare Krishna project. And I was chatting to him a couple of years ago. I went to visit him, and he said, "Oh, do you know?" I said, "You're a bit of a maverick, aren't you? You just kind of do your own thing." He said, "Well, do you know what, Narada? I just do it, and I apologize later. I'm not going to sit around at home waiting to worry about stuff. I'm just going to do it, and I'll just apologize after." And that's kind of a mood that I've adopted, I think.
I mean, it doesn't mean go around like offending everyone, but
Exactly. Yeah.
you just be you in it. Like the whole thing is it's personal. So it's like my personal relationship with Krishna, I have to be myself with Krishna and be honest, or else it'll just be like Krishna knows when you're cheating him. That's why it's like it's so difficult to get Bhakti. Like Krishna will give you everything before Bhakti, but you can't cheat him. So the only way to be with Krishna is honestly and genuine. And it's gonna be the same with his devotees as well.
Mm. Mm.
Um, yeah.
Yeah. And you've got to kind of carve out a path for yourself. Like you and I are largely following the same spiritual tradition, but we're doing it in our own way. in connecting to Krishna in the way that we understand and we've been taught by our gurus.
Yeah, yeah. Um, yeah.
Yeah.
And so the saying Shastra, a Mahatma can deliver one from Aparad. So if one's is Mahatma Utman, then Uttam, then if you have Aparad, like the source of Aparad is bodily attachment.
Mm.
So think about how much Aparad we have. So it's like if your guru's Uttam, then he can deliver you from that.
Mm.
Um, yeah.
Great. Thank you for sharing that. Yeah, thank you for sharing that. Okay. Um, believe it or not, we've been recording this podcast for about an hour. It's gone quite quick already. Is there anything else you particularly want to share with the audience? Anything else you particularly want to say or get off your chest?
Uh, um, I don't know, but it reminded me, like when you were speaking then, it reminded me of so it's like the game Who Wants to Be a Millionaire.
Yeah.
So it can seem like it's very hard to speak about like manjis and gopis, etc. But really, it's just like Krishna will probably just be there, like, well, who wants to be a manji? Who wants to be a gopi like this? And just them seeing our efforts, the parampara seeing our efforts,
Mm.
then their hearts will melt and they'll be like, whoa, he really wants, they really want. And then they'll give. Um, and if that's where your Sarup is, your Ras who's in Madhurya, then it's like you just gotta endeavor for it and they'll see that and they can arrange accordingly. Um, so yeah, I don't know if anyone watching has desire to attain that highest Radha Ashram, that um mood of a maidservant of Srimati Radhika, then don't be afraid to look deeper into the teachings of the Acharyas, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, his writings. He's giving everything. Palyadasi Kori, Dekite Dekite, he's giving everything. Narottam Das Thakur, speaking Rupa Manjari, Rati Manjari, Ramai Thakur, Ananga Manjari, even higher. Don't have this fear because it's like, if you have this fear, then you don't know where you're going to be next life. You could miss the opportunity if you have this fear. So just go into it and have faith and tolerate your karma, your suffering, and just have faith in the process Rupa Goswami's given, that by chanting and remembering that
Mm.
we can develop more relationship and come close to these personalities. And in the end of the day, it's based on love and relationship. It's not based on adhikar, how qualified we are, how pure we feel we are, how etc. So just take shelter of the acharyas, take shelter of a spiritual master, and just follow your heart and go into it without fear of falling, fear of making offenses, fear of it being too high. And then when you give up your body, then you'll see the results. And
Mm.
Krishna, Yogamaya will arrange specifically. So, mhm.
I really admire your faith, by the way. I really admire your convictions.
Yeah,
Yeah,
thank you.
you sound very spiritually determined, which is good.
Yeah.
And I find it very encouraging. I've been around the movement for a long time. Uh, and meeting a younger person like you, I find it very inspiring to see your faith. That's not a word we often use in Gaudiya Vaishnavism, but your faith in, Sanatana Dharma, in the teachings of Sri Guru and Sri Gauranga.
Mhm.
So yeah, so thank you for that. I do appreciate it. And it's been great actually to chat with you on this podcast. Yeah, I've been following you for some time online. And it's great to see that, yeah, you're still following the path, and it's not always easy. I admit I don't always find it easy. I get quite, I don't know, tempted and attached by things in the material world, because I'm only human, but I'm still striving for this path, or on this path, trying to practice my Krishna consciousness in a way that I understand, in a way that works for me in the modern Western world. So I think what I'm going to do, Nitai, is say goodbye to everybody at home, and then you and I can have a brief debrief after. So a big thank you to Nitai Prabhu for being the 126th guest on the Hare Krishna Project podcast. It's been great to have him with us and to share his story. Do not forget, if you're watching this on YouTube, to hit the subscribe button so you can be kept updated about future podcasts from the Hare Krishna Project. And if you're watching this on Facebook, to like or follow the Hare Krishna Project Facebook page. You can be also kept updated that way about what we're doing here at the Hare Krishna Project. And do not forget, I love to receive your feedback. Please make your feedback constructive, though. I love to know what you think and feel about each episode. So if you have any comments, please do send them in. You can do it via our website, YouTube, or Facebook, or any other way. Some of you might even have my private details. Don't share one with others if you do. So until next week, I'll see you all soon. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Shiradi.
Shirade.